Good morning, Safe Harbor ladies. This week is our 7th chapter in the book, The Christian Secret of a Happy Life, and I'm entitling this Rest in the Will. And before we get started, I'd like you to go and grab a strap and go and grab a block. The block isn't absolutely necessary if it's for sitting on in Malasana, so if you know you've needed it in the past, and it's for if folding forward you think your head might not reach your feet, then you have a little way to raise the floor. But we're not going to use it much, but we definitely will need the strap. So before we get to our quote for the day, we are going to do some yoga nidra. So we're going to come onto the back. Feet as wide as the mat, knees coming together, arms out at the side, 45 degrees. I like to tuck under my shoulder blades. It lifts the heart a little bit, and close the eyes. So our constructive rest position. So Yoga Nidra is a chance for us to relax in a way that can be as restorative or maybe even more restorative than sleep. To check in with ourselves, see how our body's doing, see how our emotions are, and to come to our heart center and get really anchored in the heart. So one of the things Sir Walter Hilton says is the will becomes love. So when we're in our will, eventually we're in our hearts. We're used to thinking of emotions as being heart-centered, but it's really more that deciding part of us and that committing part of us that is rooted in the heart. So we'll go through 31-point body scan, checking in with ourselves. So first, sink into the breath. Sense your body pressing down into the mat, being supported by the floor. Starting to slow down and become present. And then bringing your attention to the center of the forehead between the eyebrows. 1. Center of the throat. 2. Right shoulder. 3. Right elbow. 4. Right wrist. 5. Tip of right thumb. 6. Tip of index finger. 7. Tip of middle finger. 8. Tip of ring finger. 9. Tip of pinky finger. 10. Right wrist. 11. Right elbow. 12. Right shoulder. 13. Center of throat. 14. Left shoulder. 15. Left elbow. 16. Left wrist. 17. Tip of thumb. 18. Tip of index finger. 19. Middle finger. 20. Ring finger. 21. Pinky finger. 22. Left wrist. 23. Left elbow. 24. Left shoulder. 25. Center of throat. 26. Heart center. 27. right side of chest, 28. Heart center, 29. Left side of chest, 30. Heart center, 31. Now as you bring your attention into the heart center, I want you to feel what is strong and solid in your heart. What commitment have you made that you can hold on to? What knowledge of God from your own experience can you hold on to? Who has He shown Himself to be in your life? What commitment have you made to Him? What commitment have you made to yourself? What commitment have you made to others? Where is that anchor of your will? What is it that you can hold on to through all the storms, through all conflicting emotions? See if you can find that place where you can rest in your will. And we'll go back through those 31 points again. Center of forehead, 1. Center of throat, 2. Right shoulder, 3. Right elbow, 4. Right wrist, 5. Right tip of thumb, 6. Index finger, 7. Tip of middle finger, 8. Tip of ring finger, 9. Tip of pinky finger, 10. Right wrist, 11. Right elbow, 12. Right shoulder, 13. Center of throat, 14. Left shoulder, 15. Left elbow, 16. Left wrist, 17. Tip of right thumb, 18. Tip of index finger, 19. Tip of middle finger, 20. Tip of ring finger, 21. Tip of pinky finger, 22. Left wrist, 23. Left elbow, 24. Left shoulder, 25. Center of throat, 26. Heart center, 27. Right side of chest, 28. Heart center, 29. Left side of chest, 30. Heart center, 31. Now, as we're bringing our attention back into that heart center, allow that place in your will that you can trust in to expand. Expand out to the edges of the chest. The feeling of that anchor anchor of solidity spread out to the crown of the head. That place of rest, the thing we can count on, spread out to the tips of the fingers. That center point of stillness in the storm, spread out to the tips of the toes. And then see if you can expand that sense of solidity out beyond the edges of the body, out into where we live our lives, where we make our decisions, where the field of our will really matters. Where we can find ourselves rooted in this center, in the heart, in the will, able to be strong through whatever buffets us. Hold that feeling for one more breath. And then slowly open the eyes. Roll onto the right side and come up. I'm going to come to the end of our mat for our quote. Whew. It slowed me down. Feels really good. So we'll come onto table to begin. I'm going to bring my left foot forward. So this is the way we usually do low lunge, with the knees stacked over the ankle. But today we're going to bring the foot back a little bit and bring the knee past the toes. Okay, we're keeping our hands down because this does put a little strain on the knees. So some of the weight needs to be going into the hands. And if you like, you can come onto fists. That can feel really nice and solid, especially as we're thinking about resting in the will. And so we're just going to hang out here. And anytime you need to back out a little, I really feel this in my Achilles tendon and in my calf when I first do it, and in this back quad. It can be a little intense. So if you need to back out and come back in, that's fine. So, Hannah Whitall Smith tells us this secret concerning the will, that if we would only put our will over onto the believing side, if we would choose to believe, we need not trouble about our emotions, for they will find themselves compelled sooner or later to come into harmony with the will. One man found this heartening and said, "I can do this. I cannot control my emotions, but I can control my will, and the new life begins to look possible to me if it is only my will that needs to be set straight in the matter. I can give my will to God, and I do." From that moment, disregarding all the pitiful clamoring of his emotions, which continually accused him of being a wretched hypocrite, this young man held on steadily to the decision of his will, answering every accusation with the continued assertion that he chose to believe, he meant to believe, he did believe, until at the end of a few days he found himself triumphant, with every emotion and every thought brought into captivity to the mighty power of the blessed Spirit of God, who had taken possession of the will thus put into his hands. It's a glorious testimony. We can pull out and bring the right foot forward and then back a little bit. I'm also moving my left knee back a little bit so I can sink in a little more. So up on fingertips or on fists again. And sink in deeper or pull out as needed. He held fast that the profession of his faith without wavering, although it seemed to him that as to his real faith itself he had none to hold fast to. At times, he had drained all the willpower he possessed to his lips to say that he believed. So contrary was it to all the evidence of his senses or of his emotions. But he had caught the idea that his will was, after all, himself, and that if he kept that on God's side, he was doing all he could, and that God alone could change his emotions or control his being. The result has been one of the grandest Christian lives I know of, in its marvelous simplicity, directness, and power over sin. Hooray! Nice to hear. Alrighty, one more lovely breath, resting in the will. And rise up. This is when you might like to have a block, depending on where you are in your malasana. So we're going to come into malasana. So the feet are angled out and we squat down. Take a second to get symmetrical there. And if you need the block, you can put it under you, a little booster seat, so that your tailbone feels like it's moving down, crown of the head moving up, and we're just in a nice, strong vertical spine. If you don't need the block, it can come over here. If you're up on the balls of the feet more, you can use those low blocks under your heels also. So we're just going to do a little malasana sequence. So first, the elbows are pressing into the knees and the knees are hugging in to the elbows, and the hands are in Anjali Mudra. And we're resting in the will. Notice how the heart is the center of this posture, and in a lot of the postures we'll be doing today. And then we're going to reach the left hand off to the side and use the right hand to push the right thigh away. Get a little more opening there. Then reach the right arm off to the side and press away with the left hand. One more time each side. Staying steady and deep in the breath. Resting in the will. And then when the left hand's off to the side, this time really tuck that shoulder down towards the knee and then reach the right arm up. And then sweep that right shoulder down into the knee and reach the left arm up. So all this movement around the calm center of the heart, where we can rest in the will. And this is really fun. If you can get that shoulder way down when you reach out to the side, you can bend the elbow and bring the hand back behind you and bring this other hand back and maybe bind, holding the hands and then pulling the hands against each other to open up and twist in the chest. And then bring the right arm off to the side with that shoulder nestled down. Bend the lower arm back and around, grasping the hand and coming into a bind. When we're in a bind, rest in the will. And off to the other side again. Woo, free chiropractic adjustment. And shoulder low and wrap around. And release. Woo! I hope you're feeling nice and open in the hips. Nice and steady in your will. We're going to come into Balasana. So knees wide, big toes together. Draw back, forehead down on the mat. And breathe into the back. We're going to come into a nice little flow here. But we're going to have pauses in each one of the postures. So we do a full cycle of breath before moving on to the next pose. And that's going to be our little reminder to rest in the will. So coming up to table, sinking the belly,
Lifting the heart, gazes lift. This is cow. One full round of breath. Tuck the toes, pull back, down dog. You can leave the knees bent a little bit. Full round of breath and up on the toes and roll forward into plank and hold. Full breath. Drop the knees, chin and chest, elbows hugging in for 8-point pose. Full breath. Spring off the toes, coming forward, flat feet on the ground, lifting up into cobra. One round of breath. And then back to child's pose. And up to cow. Tuck the toes, down dog. Resting in the will and coming forward to plank. Drop knees, chest, chin. Shoulder heads are lifting away from the mat when we do that. Coming forward into cobra. And pulling back to child's pose. Cow. Dog. Plank. Ashtangasana. Bhujangasana. Elbows are slightly bent. And back to child's pose. Balasana. Resting in the will. One more time. Cow. Down dog. Plank. Shoulders are over the wrists. Knees, chest, chin. Ashtangasana. Shoulders are lifting away from the floor. Cobra. As high as feels comfortable today. And child's pose. We're going to stay in child's pose for a moment. You can keep your knees as wide as you need to breathe. I'm going to bring the back of my left hand onto my sacrum and then reach off to the side with my right arm, getting a nice stretch in that side body. So right hand reaching off to the left, and then bringing the back of the right hand onto the sacrum and bringing the left hand off to the right. A few more of these. So reaching left, reaching right, reaching left. Feel it, the little eye of the storm that the heart is in all this swirling emotion and circumstance. Finding that anchor in our will. What are we committed to? And rise up. Ooh, that was a nice flow. We have another flow that's standing now. So we're going to come to the center of our mat. My daughter made this one up last night. So first we'll just find ourselves in Tadasana and get tall here. Then we're going to step out 4.5 feet and then turn from the hip
this right foot out so that we're heel mid-arch alignment or heel alignment. We're going to get ready for triangles. So arms up, shoulder height, hip kicks back, reach, and then hand comes down anywhere on the leg but the knee. We never press down on the knee. And then turn the heart upward. Full round of breath here. And then rise up and bend that right knee, tracking towards the pinky side of the foot for Warrior 2, Virabhadrasana 2. And rest for a breath. And then straighten the leg, turn the foot forward so the feet are parallel. Interlace the fingers behind the back and fold with a flat back, lifting that fist up as high as is comfortable. Breath here, reaching the sit bones up, heels down. And then fist comes to sacrum, rise up with a flat back, turning out with the left foot, heel mid-arch alignment. Virabhadrasana 2, gaze over that middle finger, strong and steady, resting in the will. And straighten the knee, kick the hip back to the right, reach, and hand comes down to ankle or shin, right arm reaches up, gaze and heart turning upward. And rise up, angle the whole leg front so feet are parallel, interlace the fingers the wonky way, lifting the shoulder blades back together, fold, and lift the arms. And release. And fist down to sacrum, rise up, flat back, other side. So right leg turns out, arm shoulder height, hip back for triangle. Trikonasana. Nice breath here. And bend the knee as you rise up to Virabhadrasana. The core is very centered. That solid place of resting in the will. And straighten the leg, parallel the feet, interlace the fingers and fold. You might notice you can sink a little deeper each time we go into this posture. And rise up. Turn the left leg out, bend the knee, Virabhadrasana 2. The knee doesn't go past the ankle. And straighten the leg and reach out for Trikonasana, turning from the heart. And rising up, parallel the feet, wonky interlace of the hands and fold. Bow. Resting in the will, that strong anchor, the place in us that says no matter what, I can count on God. Fist down, rise up, flat back. How about one more time? We'll come to the side for Trikonasana on the right. Just enjoy this flow and the feeling of finding our center that we can flow around. And Vira 2. And straighten the leg, parallel the feet, and fold over those straight, strong legs. Rising up. Virabhadrasana 2 on the left side. Back hand is reaching back as much as front hand is reaching forward. Straighten the knee, reach. Trikonasana. Open through the heart. Resting in the will. And rising up. Parallel the feet. Wonky interlace. And fold. And rise up, flat back. Woo, did you feel it? Resting in the will. We're gonna need our strap now. So, I'm gonna bring my feet a little further than hip width apart. They're parallel still. And then hold my strap so that I'm about 3 feet apart. My fists are about 3 feet apart. And then you can check that we'll inhale up and exhale back. And if you get here and you start holding your breath and having to fuss, then widen the hands a little bit on the strap. So we want a nice opening in the shoulders without strain and holding our breath. So inhale up. Without rib flaring, staying solid, exhale down. So let me show you on this side. So this is rib flare, right? We're gonna stay with the crown of the head over the pelvis and the ribs in a straight, pulled back in like line. So vertical line, not woo, right? Because that will put strain on the low back. So inhale up and exhale down. And maybe after a few rounds of this, inhale up, exhale down. You may notice that the hands can come a little closer on the strap. Inhale up, exhale down. All this movement around the center of the heart where we find our will and our willpower and our anchor. So bring the strap up over the head, and then when we exhale, we're just going to go back an inch. Now we really have to work at drawing those low ribs in. And then breathe in. Exhale down an inch or two. Drawing the shoulder blades together, feeling that trench in the back. And exhale down. Keeping the low ribs drawn in. Exhale down. Exhale down, feeling that solidity of the will throughout. And exhale down completely. Whew, and you can just let it go for a moment. Give the shoulders a chance to relax. And then we'll inhale up in increments. So inhale up an inch. Inhale up an inch. Round of breath at each point. Inhale up an inch. Inhale up. And when we get over the crown of the head, we can exhale all the way down. And pause for a moment and rest there. Woo, invigorating, huh? Now we're going to inhale up over our head. Keep the right arm vertical, but bring the left arm behind you. Try not to flare in the ribs, keeping that core more vertical. So the arm is reaching back, and then the weight of the arm pulls down to open up this top arm. Feels so good. And then swing it up. So now the left arm's vertical and right arm reaches back. And then let that weight of the arm pull down on the strap to open up through the top arm. And back over the crown of the head and release. I'm going to turn away from you so that you can see this really well. I'm going to bring my strap over into my right arm, holding it out shoulder height. And I'm going to bring the palm of the hand then behind my back between the shoulder blades. Then bring my left arm off to the side so that the palm is facing backwards, and swoop it behind me to grasp the strap. And then walk that left arm up any amount, and then use the weight of that left arm to pull down so we open up through this top arm. And again, like, see that your ribs are drawing in and we're not flaring and dumping into our low back. Resting in our will, staying strong in that heart center. Gomukhasana arms. And then release the bottom arm first, then the top, and bring the strap over into the left arm. You might want to just pause and feel the difference in the shoulders for a moment. It feels really nice. And then we're going to bring this arm up so that the palm is facing in between the shoulder blades, and then right arm out, palm facing backwards so that we can bring that back, and then choke up any amount on the strap. Hands are moving towards each other. One fine day you may even be able to grasp hand to hand and pulling down with that bottom arm. Feel that nice opening in the top arm. Trying to draw those low ribs in. And release. Woo! Lot of shoulder work. We'll bring our strap off to the side. We may need it later. My mat is moving a lot. Let's fix that. We're going to come into temple pose. So feet wide and angled out, and then we squat down so the knees are over the ankles and moving in the same direction as the feet. I'm going to bring my right elbow on top of my left and wrap around so that my palms come together. If that doesn't work for you, you can put the backs of the hands together. That's fine too. And then we're just going to clockwise circle around, down, circle back up, and a full round of breath as we go. Exhale, inhale, exhale around, inhale back up. See how our heart's the center, resting in our will. Release those arms, and now left elbows on top of right. Maybe palms can touch in this side or backs of hands together. And we're going to circle in the other direction. So counterclockwise. Exhale down. Inhale up. Staying centered no matter what. Rooting in that strong will. Rooting in our convictions. Not being thrown off by our emotions. And release. Alrighty, we're going to come down onto our hands and knees, and I am going to face you for this pose because I feel like it's hard for people to see. So we're in table, and I'm going to bring the back of the right hand behind this arm. But first, I'm going to inhale and sweep up, getting connected to God first. And then dive back of the hand behind that left wrist, and then bring the left hand in front of the face for thread the needle. And feel that twist and feel that heart center where we can rest in the will, rest in what's solid, our true convictions and beliefs. Then pressing the left hand to come up. Reroot that right hand, inhale the left arm up, and dive that back of the hand behind the right, bringing the right hand in front of the face, and then pressing into that hand to get some opening in the shoulder, some twist in that middle spine, thoracic spine, and back up.
And we're gonna repeat that again. So right arm up and diving behind the left. And this time, if you'd like a little more, you can bring the hands into prayer pose. So that bottom hand is pressing into the top and the top hand is pressing into the bottom to allow us to twist a little more. We're resting on the skull just above the ear. Breathing and pressing the left hand, come up. And the left hand lifts, turning the heart up. And then diving down and behind and maybe bringing the hands into Anjali Mudra. And using that pressure and solidity between the hands to get a little more twist. A little more opening around the heart. And back up. Nice. I'm going to come down onto the belly for Shalabhasana, locust pose. So first, wiggle the hips, get some space there, flatten the feet to the floor. Bring the hands alongside the body, palms in, thumbs down. And on an inhale, we're going to lift the head, lift the shoulders, lift the feet. And pause here for a whole round of breath. Full inhale. Full exhale, resting in the will. Bring the feet down, stack the hands so your forehead can rest on the backs of the hands. And you can either wiggle waggle the hips or wiggle waggle the low legs to release in the back if there is any tension that Shalabhasana put there. And then straighten out again, flatten into the feet, inner spiral the thighs. And I'm bringing my forehead to the floor while I interlace the fists behind my back, really lifting up with the shoulders. So the shoulder blades are squeezing together and there's a trench between them. And then inhale, lift it all up. Stay here for a full round of breath, reaching this fist back towards the feet. And down. Stack the hands. Wiggle waggle hips or low legs. Windshield wiper. And if that felt like big work to you, you can stick with coming with that fist, just interlace the fingers in the wonky way. Otherwise, we're going to reach back for the low legs and grasp around the ankles, kind of flexing the feet. And then on an inhale, pull the legs back so the hands are pulling into the ankles and the ankles are pulling into the hands to lift the head and heart even more. And down. And back, release. Bow pose, nice big heart opener. And feet down. What do I have us doing next? Alrighty, we're going to come into sitting, and you might like to have your block nearby. We're just going to come into a simple Baddha Konasana. So soles of the feet together, knees wide, and I'm up on my fingertips behind my back so that I can press in the fingertips and really lift the heart. And as I'm doing that, I'm pressing the feet together and trying to spread the knees as wide as possible. And as you reach the knees wide, then they start to lower down. So we're not trying to force the legs down as much as wide, and then the other is the side effect. And just pause here, maybe close the eyes and feel the heart center. Feel that place of stillness in the middle of all that's been going on in this class. Feel that center of commitment, that place where we meet with the God. And release
release the hands from behind you and make this diamond shape a little bigger and the feet a little wider. And this is where your block can come in handy. So maybe put it mama bear height in between, or papa bear heights, depending. But we want our feet so wide that if we fold it down, our forehead would be right there cradled in our feet. So I need to draw mine in a little bit. This is Tarasana, it means star pose. And we're gonna bring the tips of the fingers together. See how it makes the little point for the star? And then we're gonna, if you have a block there, fold. See if the forehead can reach the block. If our knees are going wide, just pause and relax. This feels like a lovely way to go inward and feel that resting place, that sanctuary, that inner temple of the heart where we can meet with God. And rise up slowly. I'll move that block off to the side, and you may like to have your strap here. Put mine on the left. I'm going to bring my right knee on top of the left and stack my knees so that my feet are in the same line. These are the Gomukhasana legs. We just did Gomukhasana arms. These are Gomukhasana legs. It's baby cow face pose. So think of a little baby cow trying to kneel down to nurse and how tangled their little legs would be. And because my right leg is on top, I can bring my strap into my left hand and then bring that again behind you in between the shoulder blades and reach the right hand back and grasp onto that strap and maybe walk that hand up. I like to just hand to hand. So, but as you're doing that, be mindful of that bottom elbow. We want it towards the side of the body. And then press the head into that top arm. Big stretches going on. And then as you're ready, bow a little bit over those bent legs. So we're feeling it in our shoulders, and then we start to feel it in the hip. And we need to come to that strong place of the will and rest in it. All this is going on around this still center of the heart, where we've made our commitments and know our God. And rise up and release the arms. Wave it out and change the stack of the legs. So now left is on top of right and feet are in a straight line. You can bring the strap over into the right hand. And then palm facing in between the shoulder blades. And then your, that hand just wanted to get in there, didn't it? This side is much easier for me. You might notice that one side it's much easier to get that bottom arm nestled in. See how much closer that elbow is into the side. And then press the head back into the arms so the heart can lift. We're not collapsing around the heart. We're spreading wide and open there. And then bow. And sense into that still center of the heart through all the strong sensation. One more deep round of breath here. And rising up, release and wave out the arms. And we're going to come back to that Baddha Konasana again. Soles of the feet together, and they can be closer in. Maybe closer in than the last time, definitely closer in than Tarasana. Up on the fingertips, lifting the heart, knees coming wide. Breathing into that heart center, resting in our will. One more deep breath. Chin is parallel to the floor. We're not sinking in. You're standing tall. And then release the hands and bring the feet forward. They're about 4 inches apart. And you can use the block again, or maybe see if after all this hip opening you can come down a little lower. But aim it so your feet will be right under where they would catch your head. I'm going to have my block close by just in case. And then little point with our hand and fold. Maybe see if you can feel your hair on your feet. Knees coming wide. Coming into the rest and stillness that are available at the center, in our heart, in our will, where we meet with God, where we've set our firm foundation. And rise up. Place everything off to the side and we'll come into our cool down. Really moving my mat a lot today, huh? See. Okay. So we'll come onto our back, hug the knees in. Begin to rock from side to side. Then hands on the heads of the knees and begin to circle. In one direction and then the other. And then knees wide, big toes towards each other and start to circle. Little froggy swimming pose. And other direction. Feel what a relief this is on the low back. And then soles of the feet to the floor, hip width apart, arms out, shoulder height. Pressing the feet to lift the hips and swing them a couple of inches off to the right. Come down on the left hip, draw in the knees and let them fall to the left as the gaze goes to the right. Feeling that top hip pulling down and away. Feeling that heart turning upward. Hopeful, strong heart, rooted and anchored, in a secure place with God. Center the head first, lift the top knee, then the bottom, soles of the feet, hip width apart, square the pelvis, press the feet to lift up, swing the hips a couple of inches off to the left, drop down on the right hip, and let the knees fall off to the right, gaze to the left. Resting in the twist, resting in the will, resting in that heart center. Lift the gaze straight up, lift top knee, then the bottom. And straighten out the hips. And we'll do that other thread the needle. Bring the right ankle across the top of the left thigh, flexing the foot so that it can stay square. And it's staying square to the knee. Okay, so see if you can picture, is that foot angling in away from the knee, angling back, or is it square with the knee? That will protect the knee. And you can press that thigh away. Or draw the left leg in and press the elbow into the right thigh and even rock. We did a lot of hip opening today, so this might not feel like such a challenge. Change legs. Squaring the foot, pressing the thigh away, or drawing in and pausing here. I think I'm just going to pause on this side. I'm feeling a nice, strong sensation. It's getting my focus. And release. And we'll stretch out for Shavasana. So you can spread out so the feet are as wide as the mat. Arms are out shoulder height, shrugging those shoulder blades flat onto the mat. Chin tucked slightly. See how your low back is feeling. Is it feeling a little squinchy? If it is, you can bring the soles of the feet to the edges of the mat and let the knees drop in for that constructive rest that we started in. Just sink in to Shavasana. Deepen the breath. Wiggle the fingers and the toes. Begin to rock the head from side to side, making small movements. Inhale the arms up overhead till the thumbs touch on the floor behind you.
Stretch the legs out long, pointing the toes, drawing the legs together. And come into a long stretch. You can hook the thumbs, reach the right toes and right fingertips away from each other and squinch in the left side of the body. Reach the left toes and left fingertips away from each other, squinching in the right. And a couple more of these fishy wiggles. If you ever find out the real name for that, I'd appreciate it. Long stretch variation. Draw in the low legs and roll to the right, resting on that bottom arm as a pillow. And use the hands to press on the floor and come up into a comfortable seated position with the eyes closed. Inhale the arms up overhead, palms come together at the heart. Father, thank you that we can find a place of rest, that we can rest in our will, the decisions we've made about our relationship with you, the beliefs and confidence we have in who you are and who you've been to us, the commitments we've made in our other relationships. And Lord, help us to stay anchored in this center of the heart with you through all the storms of our circumstances and our emotions. In Jesus' name, amen. Thank you. Hope you're feeling centered and rested.